still in budget workshop, and we're now going to talk about the tax rate. We'll talk about this again in a minute, Linda, and I'll give you a copy of it. Okay. Done here next week. Our tax rate
Are we on number 2 or 3?
no, we're still,
Still in number
we're
two.
trying to get a figure for the budget, just talking about that when we get to the other rule. Then we'll bring it up again. Our tax rate this past year was 0.39375. Now, Dan and I have been discussing, he's actually given us these figures if you want to write that down. Our no new tax rate is 0.385526.
Call it again.
0.385526. And the voter approval rate is 0.403952. If we exceed that voter approval rate, then automatically goes on the November election for the voters to vote on. 0.403952. So if we can stay below that, that is really our best plan.
What would be our effective tax rate?
That is the no new tax rate.
And what's that?
That used to be the effective rate.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it?
0.385526. Now, between the 0.385526 and the 0.403952, we're okay. So if we stay at the 0.39375, we're still below having to go to the voters for approval. If we stay with the 0.39, and the sheet that I gave you is at the 0.39375, our last year's tax rate. Now, we had talked about yesterday, and I'm going to try to explain this as best I can, and they have to help us here. Our certified net taxable value is, and there's a sheet there, so I gave you a sheet, copy of it. You had already gotten that. Is at $2,378,503,933. But that's usually what we would use because we are pretty conservative on our budgeting. And we've used that because we know that we don't collect 100% of the taxes that we assess. Now, there is another figure down here at this bottom corner, and that little sheet is right there. And it's called the certifiable taxable value of protested property. And this is by some formula that Bud uses, the amount that he is, I don't know if you say certain, but fairly certain, that it will be certified out of the protest that he has, that 24 million will be certified. So we could use the total certified taxable value of property, which is a higher amount there, that would bring in a little more taxes. But if we do that, then I would only want to use a certain percentage anyway, you know, looking at, do you think we collect maybe 95% of our taxes, or something like that? So that's not a whole lot different, really. And so that's why we've always used what was actually certified at this stage. But I have done the calculation on both. The one that is on the certified and the one that is the certified plus the certifiable, to show you the difference. There's not a whole lot of difference in it, probably 100,000. So I feel comfortable using the certified amount. But we can use the certified plus the certifiable, but then reduce that by about 5%, which is really not going to be that much. So going with the certified tax rate, which is the 23, which is the projected amount that's marked in yellow there, then, and using our current tax rate, then that, using those two figures, shows you how much that I have put in the budget, which is, always have to count that.
9365, 359.24.
Yes. So that's about 100,000 difference with this other. But taking 5% off the actual amount is going to get you back to about the same amount. So, but that 7,217,000 is what is in this budget that you have right here. And then we'll be talking about if we're going to, at the next, if we're going to, of course, you can give me an idea. That'll help us to determine what we were talking about anyway. To discuss the tax rate and vote on the proposed tax rate will be the next agenda item. But based on that figure being in here is where we are on this budget. If you look on page 2, Page 2, it gives you the total actual revenue for the general fund. At the bottom there. And then on page 46, it shows you total expenditures with what we have in the budget. And our expenditures are just a little bit higher than than the revenue. So we would need to look at that.
$19,000 or $9,000.
16,000, about 16. Close to 15,000. Which, but now that doesn't include, this budget does not include these other things that we're fixing to talk about.
The $2,148,000 is on this sheet. Is that the difference? This sheet?
Ask me again, Andy.
I mean, our budget, the $2,148,000 is the third one down. Is that the difference?
No,
Between the
on the second,
certified,
all right, the top is the total taxes, the 9,
okay, those taxes.
and then 7 is to general fund, and 2 is to road and bridge. And you divide that by 4, and look down at the 537, that is to each road and bridge department, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Write that in. So that top figure, which is highlighted, is what's going to general fund, unless we change it.
We could leave the tax rate the same as it was.
And this is based on last year's tax rate.
Leave the tax rate the same as it was, and then go back and look at some places that we can cut, or some places that we did not give money to this year that we gave money to last year.
But there's some more things that will have to be added too, that are not in here. And we'll go over that, that'll be the next thing here.
Do you have an estimate of how much money that is?
No, not until you say what we're actually gonna add to or take out. All right, so based on that, with holding that thought, let's go through these that are still, that are not in the budget right now. All right. The Freestone County Historical Museum is asking for $15,000 this year.
What number is that? Do you have one?
That is in,
I guess I-
670. 670.
What page is it on?
Page 42,
46.
42.
670 is 42, that is right. Museum, we have been giving them 10,000, they're asking for 15.
Did we not give them some money afterwards, after we got in something last year for, we got some money, did we not add something to that?
I don't think to the museum.
We did it to the libraries,
We did the library.
was it library?
We give them that money, we,
Yeah.
We give them that,
We
we
split it.
give them that capital credits money.
Yeah.
And we give it to the library, not to the museum.
Correct.
Right.
But they're asking for 10,000, I mean for 15. What do you think we can do for them?
team,
The museum?
what we did last year.
Yeah, same size.
I mean, that's just not,
What about the railroad museum?
well, I think we need to give them something, I don't know how much.
Well, if we did the same for them for this time, so they could do their special project, or pretty much do their special project, to secure their records. We also have a request from the CASA. This is Voices for Children. We've not done anything for them before, they've just become active in our county over the last couple of years. It's a nonprofit child advocacy organization. And they provide services to abused and neglected children in Freestone and 6 other counties. And our volunteer for this county is Cynthia Page.
What was the Lions Club doing? They come here.
The idea.
That was just a one-time thing. That was just a one-time
Yeah.
system with that.
How much did I request?
3,000.
I said, do it.
That goes over 6 other counties? That's not just in our county. Is that right?
Yes, but our person is, for this county, our representative is Cynthia Gage. And I know they brought a box to put up out there for people that would contribute clothing and various things. So if anybody has anything that can help them, that would be a good place to assist.
During Child Abuse Awareness Month, they also put some other stuff along with us on the CPS board. They put some displays out here, they do some other stuff, so.
And how much are they asking for?
3,000.
Yeah, do what you want to.
All right. Streetman Historical. We just do 1,000 for them usually. Antique Historical. The Veterans Park, we have been doing 2,500.
you say about that? What's TIG historical match for?
What's what?
What's TIG historical match? What does that go to?
I think they help with the hotel and whatever other historical buildings that are there, but I know that, I
That's
know.
on one over, right?
Mhm. You know?
Yeah, that's on one over, what I thought it was.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they did a huge renovation on it, but I think they were talking about having to replace some windows too, maybe.
What did we do for the railroad? Did we do?
We discussed, if we did 10,000 for the museum, would we want to do about the same for the railroad this time for that special project? They were, I know they're, the total, but that included operating expenses was like 33,000. So what are you thinking about that?
I think it gets them going.
Yeah.
10,000, do you think?
You say 15, what was that? I thought it was 15 on railroad.
We're just talking. You
Okay.
want to do 15?
I think they need it.
Is Fairfield gonna stay at 15 or go to 10?
Well, the thing about Fairfield, we do that every year for them, so, I don't
We
know.
talked about leaving them at 10, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we're looking at just for this year, helping them with that special project at 10 and then maybe cutting back, or, but that'll be a discussion for next year. So 10 or 15?
I'd say 15 for
And
the
10.
railroad and 10 for the deal. For the last 3 years, we give this one 10,000 every year.
Every year. Yeah. Okay.
And I ain't saying about 15 for next year.
Right. Just for the project is what we're talking
Right.
about. 670.
That's 29.5, right?
I'm sorry?
For all of that's 29.5.
Mhm.
Plus the 3,000 to cost them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's at the
Do
bottom.
that.
That's it, that's two.
All right, we need to talk about the emergency management situation. If we move that back, if we take the emergency management position back, then are you going to keep the health and safety, or do you want it to come back over here?
Well, originally, when I offered that idea, it was just for the health and safety officer anyway, just so we knew exactly what he was doing and all the calls were coming through the office.
Well, that wasn't the understanding.
Well,
that
then
I-
it was, EMC was,
It's part of it.
yeah, was part of it, so
Yeah,
that's up to y'all.
I think being that the environmental side of things is a crime, somebody commits a crime, and it has to be a peace officer, and you got somebody now, and I think he's doing a great job,
He's doing really good.
but I think that needs to run out of the sheriff's department. I mean, even if it's one of the deputy positions that you have open or whatever, but I just think that the environmental side of things should be run through the sheriff's department.
and then move that
Well, we
full-time
have to
position back
have,
to
we
us.
have to have an environmental position separate, because that's where the grant funding comes from. So it can't be considered necessarily a deputy in my
Right.
office, yeah, because that is his,
Well,
that right there is first and foremost his job.
What funding are we talking about?
Are you talking about the truck? So the truck, that we got from the solid waste grant has to be only used for
Correct.
that.
But the position that we're talking about, the full-time position that we moved to the sheriff's department, would that full-time position come back
I thought
to
that
county
it was,
services?
I thought he's getting paid out, in that, he's getting paid out
Well,
of the
she just
sheriff's
moved that over
department.
there.
No.
It's right now in, still in.
He was a couple of days ago, last time I looked at one of those budget sheets.
Yes, but that's projected for next year.
Yeah, the
It's what
budget sheet
we're-
you're getting right now is what
She
was going
moved it, but
forward.
it actually right now is in county services still.
Correct.
That's just we thought we were gonna be moving it over there.
so between the sheriff, from below Jeremy, down to the last deputy position, that's 16 positions.
But that's including the
That's put them
health
on
and
there.
safety
Mhm.
in there and the, what, emergency management position. That's
If he's
including
moved,
that
then-
person.
Yeah, if he moved, then he won't be showing on my side.
You need to keep him. That's what I'm saying. He's doing a good job, and
Well, I've always thought that's the way it should have been, but that's not what happened in years past. But it's just a way to keep up with all the calls coming in for him. We didn't have that for 15 years. So at least now we know what's getting done, what's happening.
So in effect, we're gonna be adding another new employee then.
How are we, I don't get that. How
no,
are
we take
adding
that,
another
we
employee?
take that position and put it, leave it where it is right now, not the way it looks on the
Okay.
sheet. And one of the deputy positions would also be the EMC, not the,
No,
the
the health and safety.
environmental department.
I'm already too short deputies, because I can't get anybody, any applications.
But you
can't
still
hire
have
anybody.
your spots in there for 2 open positions.
Yes,
So you said you would just move him to one of those open positions?
just make him a deputy.
I thought that's what you said.
I can make him a deputy.
Tuesday.
Who's gonna handle health and safety when I make him a deputy?
He's qualified.
I usually don't talk, but from what I understand, Lloyd, you're saying that Deputy McGee's the health and safety guy. He should remain there, and then the EMC should go back, that position, whoever you designate, should go back underneath the judge.
Okay, but then we'd move that, we'd leave it in the health, in the county services,
Okay.
that position.
For that same amount, that
For the
deputy
EMC.
amount for EMC?
I don't know, we'd have to look at the amount.
Okay, that's all I
Since
need
it
to
wouldn't
know.
be, since it wouldn't be a,
And the last EMC was part-time, so I don't know if you would be considering part-time or full-time, so.
we'll
Yes.
have to talk about that. I
Think
don't
about
really
it.
understand what,
No, he's saying he's gonna take one of our openings, which we need, for the health and safety officer.
No,
Correct?
no.
Yes,
That's what I was saying.
that's what he's saying. And I'm already too short, I can't afford to lose a position.
well, we can just move, just leave, what we had in health and safety in county services, which was a part-time position. So, and in effect, we're adding a new deputy to your health and safety person to your side and just taking out the EMC.
But that's not what he's saying.
I know, but that's what you're saying. Is that
I'm just
what you're
saying I don't need to lose the 2 positions I have. we're running short anyway. You can look
But
at
you
my
didn't-
holiday time and all my people
Okay,
taking off,
but
that
right
it's
now, you
killing
don't
us.
have that health and safety officer. It's in county services.
Right, but he's saying we're gonna make one of
So
my
we're gonna-
deputy positions a health and safety officer, which technically makes me lose 1 position.
Well, let's just put it in
Well,
county
and
services.
I was looking at it from the fact that those positions have been open for 7 months.
And it's been kicking our butt.
All right, so why don't we move the health and safety back to county services, and he will be licensed under that person, and we'll get a different health and safety person, or your Mr. McGee can move
That's up to
to
him,
that.
yeah.
Mhm. And then we'll try to work on that other position.
We know we're shorthanded, but like in the jail, I mean, we can't help it. If I could fill those spots, I would. Because our guys, I mean, it hurts. That's why all this holiday time and everything, we have to pay these guys and lose it at the end, that kills us. Because that's just more time off each month that I have to give these guys. And I don't have time to give guys off.
So Judge, my only question is when we were talking about making that deputy, it was the deputy's salary. So if I moved that back to 631, you want it at the deputy's salary?
It
Or
may
would
be
you
able
want
to
it
move health and safety back there, because they would need to be, have that certification.
1467.
I mean,
But it wouldn't be taking away one that you have right now, because right now, he's being paid out of county services.
yes, with 2 openings.
And you have 2 openings.
Yes.
It wouldn't be taking those 2 away, it would just be on this sheet. On this sheet, it shows move, but, we had actually moved it, he's being paid out of county
Yes.
services, so county services would still have that position, and you would still have the 2 that you had,
Yes.
the 2 openings that you had, yeah.
And you could either make McGee one of your deputies or move McGee over to 631.
Okay.
Do what now?
I was
Yes.
just saying, if I understand correctly, he could either then keep McGee as a deputy or he could move McGee with 631.
Yeah, we're just talking about positions, we're not talking about the people. Because even though it shows right here, the environmental, that's just for next budget. Actually, right now, in this budget, it's still in county services. And so that's where we keep it. And then he would still have these 2 open positions over here. He could fill it with Jason Gear, whoever he wanted to fill it with. That's the way that shakes out.
To do the EMC, then we would be having to add another position.
No, it depends on if we're going to, how the health and safety works out and then the EMC. And we can make those adjustments whenever we find out whoever we can hire, or how we can get that done. So we'll leave things just like they are as far as the payroll stuff. You have 2 open positions, and then the environmental EMC would move back over to county services. Would be, stay in county
Stay in,
services.
it's where it is.
Stay in, that's I think where the confusion is, and then, not talking about people and the people, just the position. That position would stay then in county services where it is right now, but you still have your 2 open positions. So maybe stay in.
Yeah. 'Cause we've been hurting.
Yeah, it's, I wasn't explaining it very well. But it shows moved over here, but it's not really moved yet, so, okay. All right. And so, then, we will start back at the beginning. All right, the DA special fund, he is requesting, to cover payroll taxes for that fund. But Karen has researched it, and we have to pay the retirement, the county has to pay the retirement match, which is about $5,000. And then he's requested an additional $2,386.50 to cover the other payroll taxes in that fund, that special fund.
5,000 that we have to pay?
We have,
Have we been doing it like that?
I guess, yes. There's no consensus to cover the other than we'll do the 5,000 that we are required to do. Treasurer's office is requesting to move the deputy treasurer to pay grade 5. I don't have my pay grades in here, but, she is considered the chief deputy in your office. Mhm. It's difficult because, we always discuss that everyone follow the policy. So when we talk about doing something different, it's really something, a consideration. Does anybody need to look at those pay grades?
Go get one.
See if we've got one. I intended to bring one like that. Well, I think part of the consideration too is if we move one chief deputy to pay grade 5, then we need to consider moving at all of the chief deputies. I know we all have a lot of good employees, so it's really nice. If there's no comment, we can certainly come back again in our next meeting and talk about it again. Tax office is requesting increase in salaries for various employees for about $20,000. Is that correct on what they currently make now? Of course,
Sounds about right, I hadn't done that.
yes.
calculation.
That figure is really about 30-something thousand more than what our current payroll is but it's only a half-time. One of them's only at half-time, so that 10,000 difference made it only about 20,000 difference.
What do you mean half-time?
One of them is budgeted for half-time,
Karen Moore.
Karen Moore. And the
Oh,
other
I see.
half-time is
Okay.
budgeted in elections, so it would have been 30,000 just looking at it, but actually it's about 20,000. And the reason being, like you said, you have a lot of long-time employees that retired, and so the higher end is much less than what they were making, so that makes a difference. So, is there any discussion on that? Salary increase for the tax office? The county clerk's office has requested that everyone get a 5% raise. We'll be talking about raises in a few minutes. And is asking for 19,000 part-time.
If I get part-time, I will be able to open back up at lunch with having staggered lunches.
How many staff do you have?
4,
You
and
have
then
4 staff?
myself, that's 5, and then 1.
And the tax office is able to stay open with their number, because
How
y'all
many
not,
employees do they have?
they have 5 besides.
6.
They have 2 more than me.
That's 6.
When I have 2 people off, I can't shut the office. I mean, I had to shut the office because people are off, sick. You cannot stagger your lunches and have just one man.
But it's shut every day now, I mean,
It
there's
is
not,
as of
not an
now.
option on
It is
the
of now.
It's
Yes,
just,
it
it's
is.
just,
Yes.
well, my personal feelings are, that there's a lot of business that goes on at lunch, and I think, and I personally think it should be open. That's just my personal feelings.
Okay, there are, you have 4 besides yourself?
Yes, ma'am. I do have a part-time in special fund, but she doesn't work any other day.
She doesn't want,
She does not work every day.
and in that special fund, you were asking for another part-time.
Yes, I
So
was.
asking for 38,000 for
If I got one, then I would not need the other.
Okay, we'll be talking about that.
Sounds good.
That other special fund. Okay. Constable Precinct 2, let me look at that again. What? On the one that you were asking for, the one that you were asking to be able to do the, what you described it, to search things on, is that something you can do through the net data, like what the sheriff's department has?
No, it's
No?
not that, it's not the same as net data. It is a searchable to find people as a whole, like, if they moved, if they're trying to find their address, trying to find their location, and so forth. It's not like net data. Are we talking about two
Which part,
different things here?
which part are we talking about? The
Yeah,
The TLO or?
TLO.
You asked for two things, right?
right.
One of them was, I don't know, what did he ask?
One of them's Crime Stop, is what you're asking. Is that the same as net data? Is that your question?
Yeah. And not.
What number is that? Constable Precinct 2.
Yeah, I think he was asking for software, but then he was also asking for TLO, right?
Correct. That's
So
correct.
two different things.
It's two different
Crime
things.
software, is that the one where you search for people, crime software?
No, CrimeSoft is a report writing database.
So that would be like net data.
Yeah, it would be like net data, but I don't have access to net data.
And, I'm sorry, what did you say?
I don't have access to net data.
Well, how about if we try to see if we can get you on net data?
That would be great.
Just get you a, all right,
The thing about CrimeSoft is that if I decide I want to put a onboard computer in my truck, I can network into that database, and I can draw information out. I don't know if you can do it with net data.
I think you can, because you can, like, do it at home, can't you, net data? You have
I'm not familiar with net data because I've never used it,
a-
so.
Okay, but you use net data, so you say you think it will do the same thing then?
Yeah,
Let's get that
if
world.
he's getting, if it's for report writing and all that, that's what we use, and I think Richard McGowan has it.
Okay, all right,
But-
we'll see if we need to get him into that too then.
Yeah, it could be, yeah. Is net data web-based?
Cloud-based.
Cloud-based?
Internet?
And it's connected to everything. I don't know how long Richard's had it, but he's got it now. I don't know when he got it, but,
he got it when they run that new line through annex.
Okay.
The one thing about CrimeSoft is I can collect data for, not only searching for people, I mean, not searching for people, doing my reports, but inventory of my property and citations and so forth like that. So like I said, I'm not familiar with that data, so I really can't compare the two.
Okay, well, let's look at it
Okay.
and see what that will do. Gina, have you got anything else on that fiber optic?
Just the one quote so far. The other guy was supposed to bring the quote yesterday and
Okay.
Who was gonna bring it yesterday?
I think his company is called AAA Absolute something, John Birdwell.
All right.
Is he bonded and everything?
That I'm not sure, I'll have to ask that question. I know I think he's come up here and done maybe some work, Judge, or
He
something.
did a little repair down at the Advocacy Center.
Okay.
All right. We have in the budget, our prior ambulance expenditures were $100,000 per ambulance service.
How much?
100,000. Last year we did 150 for
Well,
something they needed to do.
this year, the ambulance service in Fairfield got a very large amount of money from the thing. They got 181,000, some odd amount. They got that extra, and extra besides what, that's just extra this past, now. So I don't know that we need to give them as much as we've been giving. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, they've got they got 181,000. So why do we, I mean, I certainly want to help them, but do we still give them that large amount?
I'm still confused why we give money to to a for-profit company. We don't give money to any of the other contractors that work, that ambulance service charges us every time that they take an inmate
Yes, they do.
to Waco or Palestine. I'm still not understanding why the county gives them money. If it's to keep them here, I can understand if it's because they're going bankrupt or whatever, but they're a for-profit company. And we don't even see their books to see if
They usually do bring us a statement, and I think they are a 501c3.
they are.
I think so, pretty sure that they're a 501c3. And then the T ambulance works through the hospital district. They still have a hospital district. And then we do Mahia, because Mahia services Wortham because it's so much quicker.
Not just Wortham, but
And the
a big
area.
portion of precinct 4,
Yeah.
and we only give them
14,000.
14,000.
Well, do you want to wait until we get the information from them and then change, see if how much we're gonna budget?
Did Tig get any of the COVID money?
I'm not sure. If you want to go on that paycheck deal, if y'all want to look and see what people got in this county, all you have to do, the website's SBA, Paycheck Protection
Just wait
Program.
and not.
Data, look. And you can go on there and you can see what anybody got in this county. I mean, the hospital, Any public, any person,
And
got
that whole field,
what they got.
behind that, we don't need to get involved.
Are we gonna do, are we gonna wait and see what Teague, neither one of them has brought anything for us to look at. All right.
Same for Tig, too. Can you look, see what Tig and Service got?
I could,
I tell you what, we'll, how about, since we have to file this today, how about if we do not show amount there? We'll ask him to bring something, make a presentation, and then we can decide what to
There you
do.
go.
That sound okay?
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right.
I'll just say right now, I'm not in favor of giving them as much as we did last year.
I'm not either. I'm not either.
Okay. Okay. Well, we have to file today, but of course, we'll have a couple of meetings after this to come back and look at it and see what changes that we want to make.
Well, if you need a figure today, I'll be glad to give them $50,000. I mean, I think $50,000 should be with what they got. And now, I'm saying that for Fairfield because I know what they got. I don't know what Tig got, I hadn't looked.
Or May.
Sorry.
Or May.
We only pay them 14, so I
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
know we could reduce that. We are doing really good with them, I think. Let's not muddy the water with them.
Need to leave that in the head bill, I'm
Well, just to be fair, why don't we just not budget either one at this point and come back with something from them and make a decision? Is that all right? We'll do that next week. All right. Now, let's talk about the sheriff again. Not about the sheriff's office, maybe,
Whatever.
other than.
Always get back to me anyway.
It does, it does. I know there are a lot of papers in here to look at. Are y'all ready to make a decision? Do you want to think about it a little more? And try to talk about it next week?
And we won't.
Or
be-
the week after, because you won't be here next week, that's right. We can set a meeting on that Monday, or we can decide something today.
On the cars, I was gonna ask, how many cars do you have total?
We should have, well, we have just enough for, well, we have the ones that are, don't run, sitting down there.
Oh, yeah, I was talking about that.
The ones that run, we have just enough for each, if every position's filled, we have just enough for each officer.
Gotcha.
When every position is filled. So you have 2 cars now that are not being used.
Yes,
And you said earlier that your vacancies you'd had 2 vacancies for 7 months.
yes.
And those
I probably
vacancies,
had one of those even longer than that.
okay, so at 7 months, and I looked and just rounded it off, they approximately make $3,000 a month. That's $42,000 that you have somewhere in salary that could go toward those cars.
Yes, that's what I mentioned last time, that some of the other counties had been doing, in order to get them in sooner before the whole rush came in at the end of the
Well,
year.
and that would be
But
good,
that
and
would
we could
mean-
go ahead and do that. The only problem is, he's not gonna be able to get a car by the end of September, and then that money goes away. So that would stay in the general fund, that $42,000. He won't spend it, but we have to budget it for next year to get 2 cars. I see what you're saying, but, it doesn't totally roll over, but it stays in the,
If we can use that money for that, then it's only 74,000 instead of
Instead of 117.
yeah. But we're gonna have to budget the whole 117 for next budget.
It just won't get used.
It just won't
I
get
mean,
used for this one.
Yeah, it's just like any money we return, which I think is over 550,000 the last 4 years, because I keep up with it. But, any money we return out of our budget each year, I mean, because I know our budget may show $1 million, but if we return 100,000 each year, then it's only $900,000. So,
And there are a number of
Yes.
departments that don't use all their money, and that just goes right back into the fund, and we would have to rebudget it the next year.
and basically, all our office needs is to know is whether or not we are gonna do it. If we're gonna do it, then he can go ahead and touch base with them and say, look, we're getting them, go ahead, we want ours to, go ahead and get ours ordered,
Yes.
knowing that we're gonna pay for it when they come in. I just don't wanna do that early and then something happen, and then we have two vehicles that's supposed to go to Freestone, and we didn't budget for it, or we didn't get approved for it.
Well, you'll know in the middle of next month when we approve it.
Yeah.
It
But-
is, those funds are in this budget.
But he did say if we could get them ordered by November, we'd get them a whole lot sooner than, yeah. Well, no, he said we would. He said if it's after that, he guaranteed it'd be March, possibly July before we ever got them. So,
You got 4 cars last year, or this year? You ordered 4.
I believe we got 3 in 2020 and 4 in 2018.
And then COVID come along,
yes.
and then you got 4 in the last, what, 6 or 8 months?
No,
No.
no, 2018, 2018,
2018, we got four.
we got 4. And then we had 3 2020 vehicles.
I know we approved 4 last budget, or budget 4 last.
Unless you're considering the environmental truck that they got on grant.
No. Great.
Some of them didn't come in until, we got them in one year, and they didn't come in until, was that this year?
That's the one I was talking about. That was this last
Right at the end of
time.
the year.
Yeah.
We didn't get them until all the way through the year.
They were a year old.
I was thinking,
Yeah, they were a year old when we got
This
them.
year. Did some of them come in this year?
No,
They all come in before the first?
Barely. Barely, last September, I think, wasn't it?
We didn't get them rigged out till after the first year, did we?
No, they come rigged. They come ready to go. Only thing we do is put stickers on them and we pay for that.
All right. We'll come back for another budget review. So let's go. Yes, I'm looking for my agenda. Shuffle it somewhere else. Thank you. Good. All right. Let's go to item number 3, to discuss the tax rate and vote on the proposed rate and record the vote. Now, we've talked about what is the no new tax rate. 0.38. And then the voter approval rate is 0.40. The current rate is 0.39375, I believe. Is that right?
So we stay with the current tax rate. 39375. Unless you want to go
Is
back.
that a motion?
How are we making this decision without knowing what we're gonna budget?
Well, we're just voting on the proposed tax rate. Without doing what?
Without knowing what we were gonna budget? We don't even, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to figure out, with, how are we setting a tax rate when we don't even know what we're budgeting yet? I was just,
How would we do it any differently? I know, we just can't seem to get everything agreed upon and in here at this time. it seems.
yeah, no, I was
I
just,
understand.
I'm gonna make that motion into a motion.
To set the proposed tax rate at 0.39375. All in favor? Aye. All right, let the minutes show that all were in favor. Item number 4, vote to set the proposed salaries, expenses, and allowances. We have to have this because we have to publish if there are any raises or elected officials. Anything else can be changed. Hopefully, we can decide on it today, though, so we won't have a later change. Kenny, did you by any chance figure how much it would, 1 cent raise would be, or 3% raise, or 5% raise?
No, since no one's asked me to do that.
This is up for elected,
For all,
elected.
no, it's for
All county employees.
all county employees. Well,
That's not what it says.
the proposed salaries, expenses, or
And it says
allowances.
or.
Well, for elected officials, it does have to be set. I guess what I'm asking is if we could discuss and decide possibly if we're going to give a raise, so that we can go ahead and figure that and get it. We have to have the ones for elected officials, so we can publish that.
We'd probably have to know what 1 cent
Well, we
or
can
two, or two right there.
We can look at the total here. Go back up to the salary, just the salary only, the red
Salary
one.
only.
The red figure there.
It's gonna be $40,000.
40,000.
Per percent.
Well, I mean,
If you give a 1 cent raise, if you give a 3 cent raise, it's going, 3% is going to be 120. 5% would be 200.
That budget's 72.
I'm not sure if you have this, but this is a copy of what we've done for raises.
That's the last 5 years.
62. 62.
62 times.
it was good back in the whole day.
75,000.
Yes, it was. It was good.
35,
We made a big adjustment.
75,000.
Big adjustment.
75,000 was the total cost.
Right hand.
75,000. Aren't we getting, we're getting 20,000 back from the insurance company? We're getting some money back from insurance.
We are,
Okay. So,
from tax health benefits.
so that's 75,000. We take that 20, we get approximately 20. So now that it's only 55,000 that we raised it because of insurance.
The request that we've had, like from Dan's office, and the treasurer's office, seem to all have been between, like as a whole, between 3 and, 10%. And I know Dan's feels a little bit different because his budget, it wouldn't affect his budget to do so, but it's, I mean, that's just kind of the gap. I see it both ways, try to look at it, this side of the fence and that side of the fence, you know, you knew what the job paid when you took it or ran for it. At the same time, it cost more to live than it did last year, so it's gotta be a happy medium.
I asked for $8,000 pay raise. And I'm sticking to that. It's been a long time coming. And that's just off of me, getting with other counties, again, our size, what they make. I know I did the same thing with y'all's salaries and other elected officials in this position. and I'm the one who is the most separated from what the rest of them make. As far as commissioners, 3 years ago, in those same 23 counties that I averaged out, you guys were making $2,000. There was a $2,000 difference. My difference is $14,000 difference. Big difference. And I got a whole county. Try to take care of my guys in my office in my different areas. I have about 6 different divisions. I have the most employees. And I don't mind saying I probably have the most weight on my shoulders. I don't mind saying that a bit. Anybody that disagrees can disagree. I don't know how you can. But I try to take care of my guys in my office first. I'm going into 5 years. I think I deserve it. I think I should have had it when I had it, when I first took over. But that was up to the other sheriffs. I know what I do. So I'm sticking to my 8,000.
And Lloyd, just on that, on mine, I've asked for that, her to be raised up every year, because when I was in that same position, I was making 36, but then I had to follow the pay scale when I hired somebody and go down to the bottom. And so I'm just asking that my person be raised up to the salary I felt that a couple
That
of.
was about 5%, wasn't it? What
I believe that's correct.
Waited to.
Well, are we talking about elected, or are we talking about all employees at this point?
I'd like to get an idea about all employees, but I certainly would like to know today about elected officials also. Because if we're going to do a raise, I'll need to figure that out so we can get that into the budget and see where we are. If we don't know, we keep putting it off, making a decision. It's hard to get that bottom amount and see where we are. Well, we can always change our mind on everything except the elected officials.
Short as my budget is this year, after whether we've had, 12, 14 months, I can't sit here and vote to give myself what I'm just not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. I'm going into next year very short, building this other bridge. You build 2 bridges in a year, it takes 200 and something out of your budget, boy, it's killing you.
If it was due to a flood, we should have got a grant for it.
We filed for that, didn't work, man. Photograph,
I
paperwork.
spent 190 on 5 roads that all washed out at one night. And I'm still not, that's got them open, I'm still not going to spend the money on as far as all pre-oil.
They did all the work, and we sent it all in, but then it just, the part that they, so narrow as to what they would accept wasn't enough to meet the threshold to even get any funds off of it.
They didn't have enough stuff for it, basically.
It takes so long to get a grant, that bridge up in North too, and the engineering deal on that grant was probably, 75, just the engineer didn't do nothing to get that grant, there's pressure on you to get people in and out, families in and out, dog in and out. You gotta build bridges when you have a problem. You can't sit around waiting here to, far in my book.
You get on the list of the state, it's a 5-year wait.
Oh, yeah.
The thing about it is, I got on that program whenever I first got to be county commissioner, so now I've got 5 bridges built in my 18 years that didn't cost the county hardly anything.
It costs taxpayers somewhere some money.
Not from this county.
Right, for the last 6 years, there was 1 year we did not give a raise. The other years was 2%. 3 of those years, elected officials did not get a raise at all. Would you consider a raise for elected officials, but not for the ones that are on Commissioner's Court?
No.
No.
I make a motion, we give the county employees a 2% raise and elected officials nothing.
I'd like to second that, but I got a problem with that. The people that's getting money, what you call it,
Supplement
supplement.
or
I got,
special funds, or
Yeah.
what were you?
I mean, you gonna give them a raise too? I hate that for people that ain't getting that supplement.
Well, I didn't think about that. I mean,
It ranges from a whole bunch of money to not much money in salary supplement.
I could make that into my motion.
All right, now, is that from any special funds, like special funds that Linda Jarvis gives to people, and who else? Other,
DA,
The,
the DA,
the DA? If they get supplement, then they don't get a raise.
And then it used to be in the district clerk's office.
I don't remember, I don't know who all gets supplements.
it's in that, salary budget sheet. I'll tell you any supplement that's given, usually in green. Put it in green, so.
I'm glad they're able to do that for those employees, but when you got people out here who don't have no salary supplement,
Mm-hmm.
I can't sleep at night that
Mm-hmm.
This is the sheet I'm talking about that it's on.
Right. Mm-hmm.
on the back page.
So it's all the green lines?
Pretty much, well, not green lines, only on the text will be in kind of a green color, the numbers of the text.
No,
Oh, the numbers in green, okay.
I was looking at the other.
Yes, okay.
And then on the very back page, you'll see where I have the supplements
Okay.
listed in green down there, 56,400 is what that full amount comes to of
Okay.
anybody that gets some sort of a supplement.
Can we separate those out?
I'm sure we can separate those out.
I mean, hell, don't give those people, I mean, yes, I would just
still
do it
discussing
individually.
that motion. We made a motion, he's amending it.
Give a 2% raise to all the county employees, except the ones that get supplemental pay. And no increase for elected officials.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Any opposed? All right. Motion carried. All right, let me think, one question. We'll look at that and figure that out, who all is. All right. And no changes in any expenses or allowances. So we will go to item number 5 to announce the date of the meeting to vote on the tax rate. And that will be August the 18th. Look and see if that's a Wednesday, somebody have a calendar? Did you look, August the 18th is Wednesday?
It's a Wednesday.
18th is Wednesday.
Yes, okay. It will be August the 18th. All right, we're now going to go to item number 6 to select additional alternate salary grievance committees. People, David Knight, Lillian Sanford, Kendrick Busby. How many do you think we need to do? 6. Okay. Patricia Pratt, Donna Bulger, Tony Winston. Because I feel like we'll have a grievance committee this time. All right, those will be additional alternate salary grievance committee members. Any comments from Commissioners Court members? If not, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that.
Okay, that motion was 2% for all employees except
The ones that-
elected officials and those that get supplements. Okay.
What is the 396, 375, what is it?
It's just the steps that you have to do,
Oh, I understand.
is to show,
In their days, it's got to be. By 8:30,
as we have, made a motion on these, proposals, and then